What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Life's a Garden. Today's positive motivational message is go with the flow. Sometimes I have a really hard time going with the flow. And in a lot of cases, I feel like I ruin moments by not going with the flow. And I hate to admit that. And part of fixing a problem is admitting that there is one. I hate to even admit that because I'm also one of those people that say, be who you are. Be true to who you are. And in some cases, I feel like I overthink things. I feel like I don't put myself into the perspective of what's going on in the moment. And it sometimes hinders a moment. Sometimes it diminishes the moment because I'm being the wet blanket. I'm being not fun, or I'm not gelling with the moment. I'm not going with the flow. Things have to be a certain way for me. See, things need to be the way I envision them to be. And that's not a good thing. It's everything is, everything is perspective, or everything is case by case, I guess. But it's also good to learn to go with the flow. Let the flow, just if it's not quite your vibe, if it's not quite what you're used to, if everybody else seems to be going with a certain flow and it's not your flow, you know what? Try just going with it. Try matching everybody else. If everybody else is on a certain wavelength, if everybody else is on a certain level, and it's not the level you're used to being at, hey, maybe try and step it up. Be on that level. Everybody else is there. You might feel uncomfortable. You might feel like out of place, out of sorts, and you're uncomfortable. Or you feel like you're making other people uncomfortable, but it doesn't matter because you're on their level now. It's tough. It's like stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. But sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. And it makes everybody more comfortable. It makes everything a little bit more smooth. Like I said, it's case by case. It's circumstance by circumstance. But practice going with the flow. And everybody has a good time. You have a good time. So just go with the flow, baby. And I promise you, it'll all work out. Now, we got that business out of the way. Let's go ahead and get into today's episode. It's episode 218 of Life's a Garden. All right, let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off with a little zinny, baby. Get this thing kicked off right. Y'all thought I stopped doing the zins? Aw, hell nah. We still rolling with the zins. And we'll crack us open a nice cold Coors Light. Standard shit around this place. I usually don't do the zins unless I've had a beverage or two. I can't. They still give me that head rush. Like, I'm not acclimated. I can't do them early in the day. I'm not like an all-day zinner. But I'm still doing them. Hey, I'm still doing them. I haven't done them on the show in a minute, but hey, we're starting this bad boy off properly. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't yet done so, please like, share, subscribe. Subscribe is the big one. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. Leave us a comment. Like it. Whatever you can do. Help us out. We help grow this garden week to week. Little by little. We're tilling the soil. Letting her grow. We do appreciate that here on the show. Hey, man. Fun weekend. Had a fun weekend last weekend. Went down to Denver. Went and saw Creed. Saw the Broncos season opener in Denver. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to the game because it was on the road. But still, got to watch it in Denver. Let's just start off on the top with the trip. Headed down late on Friday. I didn't get into Denver until about 9 o'clock. Went to the Airbnb, met up with my brother and his lady. They drove down. See, listen here, okay? If you ever needed more evidence as to why it's better to fly than drive, here it is right here. My brother left Billings about 9 o'clock. It was like 9 or 10. I'm not exactly sure the exact time he left. I was just rolling out of bed when he left. I got to hang out here at home. I recorded a podcast. I did housework. I did dishes and all that shit. Got the house looking nice so that when I came home, all that shit was done. And then I just chilled and then went to the airport. I got to the airport about 5:30. I think, no. It was later than that because my flight wasn't until I got into Denver at 7:30. Something like that. I don't remember the times. Come on, give me a break here. Whatever it was. By the time I got into Denver, by the time I was on the train, okay, which is about a half hour from the airport to Denver, I was calling my brother, asking him where he was. He was just driving in. First of all, they did have some car problems. They had to stop off and make sure the car was all right. Their check engine light came on, so that was about a 2-hour delay for them. That's not normal on the trip. But they did get stopped in rush hour traffic, bumper-to-bumper traffic, where they were at a complete stop on the interstate. I think there was an accident. That tends to happen. Accidents, construction, all that shit is forever a part of driving into Denver. So they left at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't get into town until about 8 o'clock in the evening. I got to chill at home all day, hop on a plane that took an hour and 15 minutes. Smooth sailing. No turbulence. And it was a small plane. Nothing. Beautiful. Easy flight. Popped in a podcast, and we were there. And I got there at the same time. So if you need, and it's probably about the same price. It can't be that much more. If you ever needed any fucking evidence as to why you should fly and not drive, there it is right there. So I get into town. They just got to the Airbnb. I stopped off, had some food downtown, caught an Uber. Bro. So we were staying a bit out from downtown. It was about a 30-minute drive from downtown. So I took a 30-minute... listen to this. This is ridiculous. I took a 30-minute train ride from the airport to downtown. Had some food. Then took a 30-minute Uber from downtown to our Airbnb. We were staying close to the arena where the concert was. So it's a little bit out from Denver. It was closer to Aurora. And I didn't realize it was a 30-minute Uber from the airport to the Airbnb. So I could have just cut out the middleman, took the Uber from the airport to the Airbnb, and saved myself a half hour. It's not like I needed to hang out downtown. That wasn't like a must. But I did anyway, so, whatever. It is what it is. And then, let's see. So we stopped, met him up at the Airbnb. Nice Airbnb, by the way. Kudos to them. Not going to give out the address or the name or nothing like that. I know that's probably diminishing their sales or whatever, but, I'm not that guy. I don't want to give out information. It was nice. It was a very nice place. You know what? That's why I don't do the Zins, man. Eesh. That's already fucking me up. It's already getting me, buzzed in the head. Oof, and I got that weird taste in my mouth. Yep, we're getting rid of that right now. God damn. Okay, So nice ass Airbnb. God, Airbnb. Nice Airbnb. It was a nice Airbnb. God, a nice Airbnb. It was very nice. 3 bedrooms, all king size beds, big ass place, nice yard, like all of it. It was just great. It was great. And for the cost, couldn't beat it. And for the location, couldn't beat it. So we went out to a bar that night. It was pretty cool. It was nice. We chilled. Called it a quick night. Got up in the morning. Our buddy Pow caught an early flight. Got to the Airbnb. We hung out for a little bit. Went and did some Top Golf. You know me. I love my Top Golf. Every town I go to, every city, I should say, every city I go to that has a Top Golf, if I can make it, I'm there. It's so much fun. And my brother Landon, his first time at Top Golf, so glad I got to do that with him. We had a good time, had a couple buckets of beer, had some food. Let me tell you something. Top Golf has really good food. Like, if we had a Top Golf here in town, I would probably be there at least once a week because it's fun. It's relatively expensive, you know. It costs some cash. You want to go with a group. But you get a couple buckets of beer and some appetizers, man. Oh, you are made in the shade. It's great. It's a good time and great service always. I've never ever had a bad experience at a Top Golf. So, we go do some Top Golf, stop off at a liquor store, grab some booze, pregame it before the show, because the show's on Saturday. My buddy Pow, dude, God bless the guy. He was just in town for the show. He bust his ass in, flew in, I shouldn't say bust. He busted his ass in early in the morning for the show. We partied all night, and then he left early in the morning. That's crazy. So we went and got some booze at the liquor store. Went back to the Airbnb, partied it up a little bit, did a little pregame. Thank God my buddy Pow brought some liquid IVs. That was a lifesaver for that show because, but after all the beers at Top Golf and then what we drank at the Airbnb, dude, I was feeling pretty good. And I was to the point where I was like, dude, I'm one of those drinkers where when the beers are flowing, they don't stop until I go to bed. So I was like, dude, I want to remember the show. Like, I don't want to be crazy and stupid and not remembering the show. Pal whips out these liquid IVs, and we downed a couple liquid IVs, and we drank some water and started kind of like just evening out. It was a lifesaver. My buddy Pal, fuck it. I keep saying my buddy Pal like you don't know who he is. He's been on the show many times. Go back and listen to his episodes if you haven't seen them. We even did an episode in Denver with Pal. He put a liquid IV in his Coors Light. Do you know how fucking crazy that is? That must have tasted disgusting. He put about half of it in, and it starts foaming out of it like a science fair volcano. It was hilarious. But yeah, those liquid IVs saved me. Now, we take the Uber. We Ubered it to the concert. Now, the concert's like maybe a 15-minute drive from where our Airbnb is, which is nice. It's like, this is why I chose that area, because I wanted to be in the same area. I knew after the show we were gonna want like a quick ride back. I'm fucking smart like that, you know. My brother, he wanted to get his Airbnbs that he was suggesting were like on the other side of Denver. You can't. My little brother, you know what I mean? Like, he's good shit. He likes to have a good time. He knows what he's doing. But he doesn't always know what he's doing. You gotta listen to Big Brother sometimes. This guy right here, I've done some traveling. I know how it goes. And especially in Denver, you know me. Denver's my home away from home. I've been there many a times. I know it like the back of my hand at this point. I know how it is driving around there. I know the locations. I know where we should be staying. So let your big bro handle the stay. I know what's up, and guess what? Like I said, we had an awesome Airbnb, great location. It all worked out beautifully. Because you got to go with the guy that knows what he's doing, man. If you're somebody who's traveling and you're going with somebody who's been there and done that, listen to them, okay? Listen to the person that's been there and done that, okay? I'm just saying that's a little advice for y'all. If you're going traveling somewhere, let the person who's been there handle the business. And I handled business, and we did well. We're Ubering to the concert venue, and while we've all been drinking, my brother's a little bit tuned up. I can always tell. I can tell when he's starting to get a little tuned up because he becomes he's already pretty chatty. He becomes really chatty when he starts getting that buzz going. And he straight up immediately, the second we get in this Uber, he's doing a podcast with the guy. He's interviewing our Uber driver. I'm in the back. I'm like, my eyes are rolled so far in the back of my head. I can see my thoughts. And my thoughts are, shut the fuck up. I'm watching my thoughts say, dude, just shut up. But I'm not going to be that guy, you know? He's just interviewing this dude. And it's a 15-minute drive. It felt like 30 fucking minutes. Guy was nice. It was all good. That's why I didn't make a stink about it. But this was already the beginning. I could just tell where my brother was at. We shuffle ourselves into the arena. Fiddler's Green Amphitheater. It's only the second time I've ever been there. First time I was there was 2008. I saw Slipknot, Disturbed, Dragon Force, and Mastodon. Great show. Got to see it with my Uncle Don. It was the first time I've been back since my Uncle Don died. So that right there was already pretty heavy. It was pretty cool just to be there. It was exactly as I remembered it. You know what I mean? That's almost 20 years ago. That was almost 20. Am I crazy? Is that right? No, 15. 15 years ago. Sorry. My math's off. It was about 15 years ago that I've been there. And it was exactly as I remembered it. We had good seats right in the middle. Seats, not in the lawn. We had the seats. Finger 11 goes on first. They did all right. There was a couple songs I didn't know that they had. That was cool. Closed with Paralyzer. Of course, that was a banger. And then Three Doors Down comes on. Now, in addition to this being the first time I've been to Fiddler's Green since my uncle died, it was also Three Doors Down was the last band that I saw with my Uncle Don. So that was a pretty heavy, like just seeing that in that venue, seeing the band, the last band I saw with my Uncle Don. I was thinking about him. It was one of those things, I was sitting there just thinking about Uncle Don. Very special moment for me. And these dudes behind us, they're just having a good time, right? They're just having a good time. Being a little bit obnoxious. They probably had a few drinks. They're chatting it up. They're hooting and hollering. The thing that they kept repeating over and over again was, so the lead singer of Three Doors Down, he says a lot. He'll say, thank you, my friends, or hello, my friend. He'll say my friends a lot. He'll refer to the crowd as my friends, okay? And these dudes just couldn't fucking shut up about it. Every time he'd say, my friends, he said it, hello, my friend. Like, every song, in the middle of songs, before songs, after songs, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm trying to enjoy this moment. I'm not going to yell at these guys. They're here having a good time. They're in their own world, doing their own thing. I'm not going to, be that guy. I've been that guy at shows. You know what I mean? We're at a concert. You're going to be surrounded by people. You don't know what everybody's doing, you don't know who you're going to be around, right? You hope that you're going to be around respectful, less obnoxious, patrons of the show. But sometimes it don't work that way, especially when you have seats. You can't move. So you just got to kind of go with the flow. It's a little hard when you're not as tuned up. If I would have just kept drinking like I was before, oh, it would have been nothing. Water off a duck's back. But I had sobered up a little bit at this point. I'm trying to enjoy the show. It's a little hard to enjoy the show when you got a guy in the back of your ear yelling, "My friends, hey, it's my bud." You know, I'm like, and on top of it, my brother, who is an expert at going with the flow, is just goating them on. He's riling them up. These are my guys. You know, he's turning around. He's talking to them. They're making bets about how many times he's going to say it. And so now I'm getting irritated with my brother, okay? And I hate that. I hate that I got that way, okay? Because I felt like I showed that too much to him. I was kind of letting him know how much he was annoying me. And I did not want that to hinder his time. I didn't want that to affect his experience for the show. And I feel like I did. And that's on me. That's bad. I fully accept that. And that's why I say sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. He's having a good time. They're having a good time. Nobody's getting hurt. So just because I was uncomfortable doesn't mean I need to project that on everyone else, right? And I failed to go with the flow that night. At least for that set, okay? I thought Three Doors Down kind of didn't do as well as I expected them to. It just didn't sound as good as the last time I'd seen them. And who knows what that contributes to. They did a fine show. I'll say this. When they did Away from the Sun, that was the moment. That was the moment I just fully was like, cheers, Uncle Don. You know, I was happy to be there. So Three Doors Down gets done. Now, here's where the turning point happens. The obnoxious dudes behind us give us their debit card and say, hey, if you go get us some drinks, you can get yourself some drinks. And we're like, let's go. So we head down. I go to the bathroom. My buddy Pow is getting beers at the beer garden. You can only get 2 beers per person. Somehow he recruited a bunch of people to hold beers for him. I got out of the bathroom just as he was done cashing out. We got 9 beers, right? So we're heading, like, he bought a beer for the person that helped him out, which was cool. On the dude's tab, by the way. Not our tab. We weren't paying for these beers. So Pow's got 5 beers in his hands. I got 4. We're walking up. Everybody's like, damn, these guys know what they're doing. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, throughout the entire show, I'm getting mad compliments on my Powerline jersey. My brother Landon got me this jersey for Christmas. I got him those Creed tickets for Christmas, and I vowed that the first time I was going to wear this jersey was at that Creed concert. And I stuck to it. That was the very first time I wore this thing, and I got endless compliments. People were shocked at this. People were like, is that what I think it is? You know, just a never-ending flow of compliments. So kudos to that. So stoked to know that people know what this is and that they were recognizing what's up. A lot of people have really cool shirts, by the way. We make it back just as Creed starts going, right? And say what you will about Creed, okay? Creed is notoriously known as the worst band of the 90s, or, you know, they get all this hate, right? That was, they put on such a good show. They fucking crushed it. I couldn't have been more happy. It sounded great. The stage presence was great. The lighting, the pyrotechnics, it was all there. And like I said, love them or hate them, you can't deny a good show. I've seen every kind of band under the sun. Heavy metal, fucking 80s metal, 80s rock. I've seen it all, everywhere in between. I've seen some of the best performances from Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie. I've seen some damn good shows in my days. I'm not saying this one racks up there with those, but I know a good show when I see one. And I wasn't drunk. This isn't like drunk talk. This wasn't me like being drunk and thinking like this was just a great show. They put on a damn good show. Mark Tremonti is one of the most underrated guitar players of all time. And Scott Stapp, while he's had his ups and downs, while he's, the guy's a front man. The guy is a true front man. That he knows how to command a crowd. He knows how to talk to a crowd. The dude can sing his ass off. They did so goddamn good. They opened up with Bullets, which, by the way, I called. Check, if you haven't heard the song Bullets by Creed, you wouldn't even know it was Creed. That is a good song. And, they played all the hits. They start playing Arms Wide Open. My buddy Pow, he just had a kid. That song's about when Scott Stapp had his kid. And Pow's like just flipping through photos of his baby. And he's got tears running down his face. I got my arm wrapped around him. My brother on my other arm. We're just taking in the moment. It was awesome. And, they, like I said, they played all the hits. My favorite song by Creed is One Last Breath. They crushed that. It was awesome. Like, just the whole show was awesome. And they closed with My Sacrifice. 'Cause when you are with me, I'm Creed. Those aren't the lyrics, but we always say, I'm Creed, I'm careless, I believe. Or you can always do, Creed is what they call me. Oh, yeah, no, they fucking killed it. And like I said, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. We were walking out of the arena, and we start singing One Last Breath, my favorite song, and the whole crowd's singing it with us. We started that shit. It was cool. And then my brother starts fucking getting on my nerves again. 'Cause he's at a level up here, and I'm not quite there yet. He hops the barricade. He's getting flashed by the cops. We can't find him for a minute. He's chatting up. We finally found him. He starts just chatting up random people like, hey, where's the nearest bar? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Landon, just relax. Just relax. We'll figure it out. But he's just he's a talker. He likes to have a good time. He knows how to have a good time. And in some ways, I need to be more like him. You know what I mean? Not a lot of big brothers say that about their little brother. He has tendencies. He has like personality, and he's just got a way with people where he just goes with the flow. He's got a better way of going with the flow than I do. And I'm not afraid to admit that. If I'm drunk, I can go with the flow, no problem. But I wasn't there yet. And so, again, after the show, during Creed, no problems. We had a good time. We were hugging each other. We're singing along. We're having all the good stuff. After the show, again, made it a little bit too apparent that I was irritated by him, and I just didn't want that to ruin the night. And in some ways, I feel like it kind of did. And that's just something I got to learn from, It's just something I got to do better at. I got to do better at going with the flow. So, other than that, we found a bar to go to. We went to an arcade bar called 1UP, one of my favorite bars. I've been to all three 1UPs. This was 1UP in Centennial. Had a good time there. Everything smoothed out. And we went back. So, check this out. We go back to the Airbnb. We order a fuck ton of Taco Bell. Start watching Goofy movie. And we just we ate all that Taco Bell, messed the whole thing up, and then finally crashed out about 3 a.m. Pow has to be at the airport by 7 a.m. Okay? Now, like I said before, the Uber from the Airbnb to The airport is only about a half hour. So he's got a little time to take a 2-3 hour sleep before he's got to get to the airport. We lay down, we say our goodnights, we all lay down. About 20 minutes after I'm in bed, I hear this rustling around. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on out there? What is Pal up to? Because we were all pretty tuned up at this point. And I look out my bedroom, and I look into his. Nobody's there. His stuff's gone. Nobody's there. I thought maybe he went outside and locked himself out. So I go outside. I'm like, Pal, what are you doing out here? And he's like, oh, I just decided to order an Uber and go to the airport. Figure I'd take a nap there and just make sure I'm at the flight. I'm like, shit, man. All right, well, glad you came out, had a good time. Have a safe flight. The dude slept through his flight. Missed his flight and had to catch one at like 11 o'clock. He should have just booked it for 11. Could have slept at the Airbnb and been all good. But, shit happens. I'm just shocked nobody woke him up at the gate. He's sitting there. If he's asleep at the gate, and don't you think they'd be calling his name, like passenger Pal Williamson? Your flight's here. But they see one dude sleeping. Wouldn't they be like, hey, are you Pal? That seems odd to me. Whatever. I didn't sleep a wink. Okay? 3 a.m. Woke up at 8 a.m. So I got about, I wouldn't even say 5 hours. Because I was up and down all night. So I'd say I collectively got maybe 4 hours of sleep. Got up, watched some morning pregame football stuff, got ready, caught an Uber, went to the DNVR bar, told you I was going to go there. Same bar I watched Bo Nix get drafted in. And I was going to watch his first game at the DNVR bar. Shout out to the DNVR bar. Best sports bar in all of Denver. Obviously because it is all Denver sports. My favorite location. Last time I was there, I watched the Nuggets beat the Lakers in the playoffs. And I got to watch Bo Nix get drafted to the Broncos. Perfect scenario. I post up. I watched all the morning games. Watched the Broncos game. Is what it is. We lost the game. Now, let's lean into some Bronco talk here for a second. A lot of people are down on Bo Nix already. Okay? We lost the game. 6-point loss. The defense looked great. Offense looked okay at first. Offense really never got it going. The run game never got going. Some pretty rough passes here and there. He didn't really look like he was settled in. He's a rookie quarterback. He's seeing NFL defense, like a true NFL defense for the first time. The speed of the game is a little different. It's going to take a minute for him to acclimate. The rough part was that we just couldn't get the run game going. We had a couple drop passes. Some pretty minor issues that can be fixed. The defense looked great. Second half, not so great. They started getting, the Seahawks offense started getting kind of rolling on us a little bit. Listen, we lost by 6 points on the road with a rookie quarterback, one of the hardest places to play, one of the loudest stadiums, against a really good Seattle defense. I'm not chalking that up as a loss necessarily. Obviously, we lost we got the L for the season, but there is plenty to be optimistic about. Bo Nix looked poised. He didn't look too rattled. There was a lot of mistakes that were made. And yeah, Bo is not without mistakes. He definitely, he had his issues. He's a rookie quarterback. He will figure it out. Here's my thing. And I love my Broncos. I love being a Broncos fan. Sometimes it's hard to be associated with other Broncos fans. Everybody I watched the game with in the bar, aces. Everybody was so cool, All the fans I had there with me, we all agreed. We were all on the same page. Everything I just said. A lot to be optimistic about. The online fans, however, dude, Broncos fans can just be some of the fucking worst fans. Let me tell you. They are just so melodramatic and so just bunch of fucking Debbie Downers, bro. Like, immediately calling for Sean Payton's head. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The play calling was a little stagnant. It wasn't anything to be excited about. But what are you talking about? You're going to fire Sean Payton? Everybody's saying, oh, here we go again. Bo Nix is already, like, he's the worst. He's a terrible quarterback. We're back to having another bad quarterback. It's his first pro game, and he was the only dude on offense that scored a touchdown. Give the fucker a break. Let him get a couple of games under his belt. Let's get the flow going. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. Everybody gets so goddamn spoiled with guys like C.J. Stroud last year, who was a rookie quarterback that came out guns blazing. That doesn't happen all the time. Joe Burrow, he had a good rookie campaign. Every now and again, you get a guy that comes out. You got to remember, Bo Nix was the 12th overall pick. He was the 6th quarterback taken in the draft. He statistically did better than Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Those are the 3 rookie quarterbacks that started in week 1. And Nix statistically did the best of the 3. So how are you going to hang him out to dry already? Broncos fans need to fucking chill out. I love being a Broncos fan, and I love being part of Broncos country. But sometimes, dude, Broncos fans just piss me off. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. It can be frustrating to be a Broncos fan. You want to have success right away. You want to believe that the rookie is going to be the savior. You just got to believe in the process. You can't be like, oh, we lost the game, and they're acting like we got blown out. We didn't do that bad. There are losses that you can look at and be like, hey, we can build on this. This is not like the end of the world. And they're all acting like it's the end of the world. It was a road game in a extremely difficult environment against a very good defense with a rookie quarterback. And we're going to sit here and be like, woe is me. It's all, fuck, we're back to the same old us. Plenty of good teams lost in week 1. Okay? It's only week 1. No reason to hit the panic button yet. Chill out, Broncos fans. It ain't done yet. And the thing that really bugs me is if Bo just comes out guns blazing throughout the rest of the season, if he looks good, if we have a winning season, even if we don't make the playoffs, all these Broncos fans are going to be like, they're going to be sucking Bo Nix's dick. They're going to be sucking Bo Nix. And it's like, you were the ones that were doubting him after week 1. I ain't going to be that guy. I'm the guy that's saying, let's see what happens. Maybe he doesn't turn out, but I'm not ready to put him on the fucking cross just yet. He looked good. He looked poised. And that's enough for me. We will see what happens in week 2. Week 2 is going to be tough. We got the Steelers this week. Obviously, by now the game would be over. Hopefully, we handle our own against the Steelers at home. I hope Russell Wilson's playing because I'd love for that matchup. Either way, the Steelers' offense didn't look great. They didn't score a single touchdown. They won the game on field goals. Steelers' offense, not worried about. Steelers' defense, definitely cause for concern. Their defense is very good. So if we can handle business against the Steelers' defense, hey, we're right back in business. So I ain't hitting the panic button yet. So yeah, there's the Broncos deal. Got myself a brand new jersey while I was down in Denver. That was cool. Yeah, pretty much the last day on Monday. Now, I got pretty fucked up on Sunday, but that is what it is. on Monday, I kind of just hung out and just kind of waited for my flight. Didn't miss my flight this time. I didn't miss it the first time, but got to the airport early enough. Hey, security was a breeze this time around. Got to my gate. Everything was smooth. So that was cool. Since we're on the topic of Broncos, though, I do got to bring this up. Broncos legend and Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe. Oh, boy. Our boy Shannon Sharpe, he got caught. He was doing an Instagram live and forgot to close said Instagram live and proceeded to make love to a lady. I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend or whoever, but in no video, you couldn't see anything. But you could hear some pleasure being made in the background. And everybody's giving him a shit about it. I say, good on you, Shannon. Nothing to be ashamed of there. Sounded like everybody was having a good time. Sounded like you were laying some good pipe. Is it embarrassing? Sure. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want your business out there like that. At least nobody saw nothing. It was all just audio. But he came out and like apologized or I think he even said like his Instagram got hacked. Come on, just own up to it. There's nothing to be upset about. There's nothing to be like sorry about. It was an honest mistake. You didn't do anything wrong. You weren't like cheating on somebody. You weren't doing anything illegal. And it sounded like you were laying some good pipe. So just own up to it and be like, yeah, I mean, I made a mistake. I forgot to shut off my Instagram live and shit happened. And your boy lays good pipe. Now, the weird thing to me about all that is the idea that he was on Instagram live and then was going to sign off and then immediately start having sex. So, like, his lady was probably already naked in bed. He's doing his Instagram live and then was just like, all right, guys, see you later. That's so odd to just be on an Instagram live and then immediately just set the phone down and start banging away. That's a little odd. Other than that, don't be sorry, Shannon. Don't be sorry. You're a legend. And I think you might even be more of a legend after this. So kudos to y'all, boy. Nothing to be ashamed of. I don't want to end this episode without saying R.I.P. to the legend, speaking of legends, James Earl Jones, the voice of Mufasa and the voice of Darth Vader, the greatest cinematic villain of all time. We want to just, legend. Died at 93? Hey, he lived a life. Just want to recognize James Earl Jones, one of the greatest voices in all of cinema. So, cheers to James Earl Jones. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, we got to talk about the debates a little bit here, okay? The debates happened. The first ever debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Now, I've made it pretty transparent that I am not a huge fan of Joe Biden or Joe Biden's presidency, which includes Kamala Harris. Not really a fan of what they've done. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a pro-Trumper. That doesn't mean I'm a right-winger. That doesn't mean that I'm, like, all in on Trump. Okay? It does mean I'm leaning more towards that direction. Based on policy. Not based on personality or any of that stuff. Based solely on policy, I'm leaning more toward Trump. Okay? And especially after the guy that I wanted to be president, which was Robert F. Kennedy Jr., after he endorsed Trump, that said a lot to me. Okay? Because that's the guy I wanted to vote for. And if he's endorsing Trump, well, what does that tell you? That says a lot to me. as somebody who was going to vote for him. But the debates themselves, okay? Let's just analyze the debates themselves. I watched about 30 minutes of it, and then I watched a lot of highlights. If you were to ask me unbiasedly and just from what I saw, it would appear that Kamala Harris got the best of him. It's not that Trump looked flustered necessarily. I mean, they were trying to say that he got flustered. And I think there was a moment when she was bringing up his, like, I don't know. It's so stupid. She brought up his, which this isn't even a dumb thing to bring up in a debate, but it's a tactic, I guess. She brought up that his campaigns, people don't go, people leave early, something like that. And it rattled him. It got under his skin. You could tell he was a little bit flustered by that. That was about the only time he really got flustered. And she got flustered a lot. You could tell, like, things that he was saying. Anytime she would, like shake her head or grab her face and be like, look puzzled, you could tell she was getting flustered. Now, Trump. It wasn't that she did a lot to beat him or said a lot that really crushed him. It was more that he kind of just put his own foot in his own mouth and just kind of did what he does and just said crazy shit like they're eating the cats. Now, in all fairness, there was a video of a woman eating a cat in Canton, Ohio. It was initially reported that she was a Haitian immigrant. Later confirmed that she was not. She was in fact a Canton resident that was most likely high on bath salts, which doesn't necessarily look good for the country either way. Because now we can just talk about the drug epidemic that's going on in the United States. The whole eating the cats and dogs thing, that was a really wild thing to say. Sometimes I think Trump just he just says shit that he's got like runaway mouth syndrome where like he'll just start talking and saying shit and then it just kind of like sometimes it goes in a positive way, like he'll start saying stuff and it clicks really well with the audience. And sometimes it just don't. And this is one of the just don'ts moments. Now, is there a huge issue with immigration right now? Yeah. He brought that up a lot. And it really is the biggest thing he has against Kamala because regardless of what they say, they try to backtrack and say that Kamala was not like in charge of the border or was not placed in charge of the border. They're trying to backtrack that now. She was put in charge of the border by Joe Biden. That was an assignment to her that she absolutely fucking failed at. So Trump has a point to bring that up a lot. He kind of like beat that dead horse a little too much. There was a lot of other things he could have got her on, but he just didn't. Also, another thing, it was a little bit annoying to see how much the moderators were fact-checking Trump. By the way, I'm good with that. I have no issues whatsoever with them fact-checking him. That's fine. But for them to not fact-check Kamala at all, now we're looking at a bias. Because they didn't fact-check her on the fact that she flip-flopped multiple times on the fracking thing. She flip-flopped on the gun control thing. There's video of her saying that she wants to ban guns or wants to have a buyback for guns. And then she's at the debate saying that she doesn't want to ban guns. She owns a gun. And so does Tim Walz. They own a gun. When previously she said she wants to have a ban on guns. Same with the fracking thing. She said she doesn't want to ban fracking. And then previously she said she did. They never once called her out on any of that. So that was a little bit upsetting to see that the moderators were not exactly being partial. I thought the moderators in the Trump-Biden debate were very good. These ones seemed a little biased. Nonetheless, Trump did not help himself by some of the things he said. Now, back to the immigration thing. That is a real problem. Like, we were staying in Aurora on our trip, and there is a legit Venezuelan gang running amok in Aurora, causing all these problems, robbing houses. It's a real problem right now. And I was there. I heard all about it. It's not fake news. It's fucking real. And apparently, the Hells Angels are rolling into town to handle business. Which, by the way, awesome. Love it. Now, do I love that we have to resort to gang-on-gang violence to fix our shit in this country? No. It'd be nice if the Venezuelan gangs were just not allowed to come on in. It'd be nice if we knew there was Venezuelan gangs in Aurora and New York and other places in this country, and we just took care of it. If our law enforcement and our FBI and ICE and all these other organizations that we pay millions of dollars to in tax funds, it'd be pretty cool if they would just go take care of it. But no, let's go ahead and just let the biker club, the Hells Angels, go on in and take care of it. We'll just have a gang war in Aurora. How about that? That's what we want for America. Let's let the gangs just hash it out. Aurora might think that it's Venezuela. Hey, here comes the Hells Angels, but you're in Aurora. Jesus Christ. What? That's ridiculous, dude. The immigration shit is a real problem. And that's... I'm not saying either of these candidates are top notch. Trust me. There's a reason I wanted to vote for Robert Kennedy. I don't think either of these... neither of them are qualified. I'm just going with the thing that I think is going to be more beneficial to me as an American. And then the crazy... Dude. Okay, two things that I took out of it, too. First of all, Kamala outright admitted in that debate that China was the cause of the Wuhan, or of the flu, or of COVID. She's straight. This whole, like, forever, the left suppressed the fact that China had anything to do with the virus, and then she basically admitted that they did. That was pretty interesting. Nobody's talking about that. And then she's coming out and, like, touting Goldman Sachs as a reputable case for her. Like, Goldman Sachs says that her economic plan, blah, 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 blah. Fuck Goldman Sachs. You're gonna use Goldman Sachs as your recommendation in this? And, even crazier, they're shouting from the rooftop that Dick Cheney is in support of Kamala Harris. I don't know how old you guys are out there, how old my listeners are, but even I'm old enough to remember when the left hated Dick Cheney. Like, Dick Cheney is the most right that there is. And for anybody out there who's remotely confused by the fact that Dick Cheney is in support of Kamala Harris, remember that Dick Cheney, I don't know if he currently is, but at least used to be, and I'm sure if he's not still, is at least a shareholder. The guy used to be the CEO of Halliburton, which is a weapons manufacturer for war. And if he's not still the CEO, or at least in some high-end position at Halliburton, guarantee he's still a shareholder. Why do you think he fucking supports Kamala Harris? Because they, which is unbelievable to even think that the left is in support of war, because forever they were the anti-war group. But no, he knows, Dick Cheney knows, that the Kamala Harris presidency means continued war, which means money in his pocket. So for all of you that are confused as to why Dick Cheney would support the left in Kamala Harris, it's only because it's going to line his pockets. Duh. So they're touting to the rooftop like Dick Cheney is in support of us. Yeah. That's not a glowing endorsement. The guy who runs Halliburton. What the It's unbelievable. So those are the debate takeaways. I mean, it's funny to think that like, I damn near forgot. In addition to all that, Taylor Swift officially came out and endorsed Kamala Harris, which is a huge endorsement for her. Like, that's pretty much every fucking woman in the world, or at least in the United States, that's able to vote. Now, I heard a really funny thing on a talk show that Kamala Harris is down in the polls with men. And the guy on the show goes, duh, of course she's down with men. She's down in the polls with men because men are the ones that go and die in wars. And yeah, there are in fact women that fight in wars at a 3% clip. The other 97% are men that go and die in wars. And the other men that don't go and fight, they sympathize with the ones that do. And even the ones that don't, like me, I'm not eligible to fight in a war. But you better believe, if push came to shove, and we had a draft or some shit, they're calling me up, and I don't want that. And that's a lot of the reason why Kamala is down in the polls with men. And why Dick Cheney supports her. But anyway, the Taylor Swift endorsement, yeah, that's interesting. And I do what you got to do. You know, do what you do, I guess. And you don't think she's gonna get some? That's a tough thing to do as an artist, because now you've just polarized half of your audience. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's plenty of her fans that are Republican that aren't going to agree with that and might even stop listening to her music. It's a tough thing to do as an artist, or anybody who anybody who has a platform. That's a really ballsy thing to do. And yeah, we'll see how that pans out and all that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Taylor Swift if Kamala does not win. And I'm just saying in the manner of like her support and all that, and what backlash may ensue for that. And in addition, if Kamala wins, it'll be interesting to see what kind of tax breaks Taylor Swift gets. Because you know, endorsements for candidates aren't free. All right, last bit of business before we leave the show here. UFC is at 306 this weekend, I believe. The Sphere. UFC at the Sphere. The boy. The Montana boy, Sugar Sean O'Malley, is back at it, fighting, defending his bantamweight championship. Love it. I'm just going to give my predictions. It's not a big card. It's actually a really small card, because I guess they got a lot of it's a lot of theatric stuff with the Sphere. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm very interested in to see how this rolls out. But I will give my predictions on the main card And I'm just going to do the top 3 because I really only know those ones. Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Before I took Brian Ortega, and I think I'm going to switch that up because these two were supposed to fight a while back, and that fight fell through. I love Brian Ortega, but I really like Diego Lopez, and I'm going to take Diego Lopez. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going to take Valentina this time. I don't think Valentina's going to lose 3 in a row. I love Alexa Grasso. I'm pissed that they're doing this trilogy. Alexa beat her twice. This does not need to happen a 3rd time. But it is. I'm going to take Valentina, though. And guess what? That means it's going to happen a 4th time. And that poor division is getting held up by that matchup. And finally, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. Who the fuck would I be if I didn't take Sean O'Malley? And guess what? Depending on what the line is, I might put $100 on Sean O'Malley. Undecided yet. I'm undecided on that, but guess what? I did it before, and I won big. If I can bet Sean O'Malley on knockout, I'll take him for $40. And we'll see what happens. Maybe 60. I got Sugar Sean tomorrow. And it'll already have been said and done. Hopefully Sean O'Malley is still the bantamweight champion of the world. Hailing from Montana. Repping the 406. Love that boy. So, looking forward to watching some fights this weekend. Should be a good time. We're going to go with the flow. We're going to have a good time. Go with the flow, everybody. Make sure you stay loosey-goosey. Jump out of your comfort zone a little bit. Go with the flow. Thank you all for listening. Appreciate it. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow on all platforms. And don't forget, when you are with me, I'm creepy.